not a second-hand coat. I want a yacht, not a cheap little boat. I tell my daddy not to be depressed. All I need for happiness is the best. I want a diamond, nothing else has appeal. And when it comes to men, you know how I feel. I want a real man. Give me a real man, you know what I mean. I want a real man. Oh, real man, you're what I need.
Dylan's coming by. Hey, what's up? Welcome to Real Men. This is the magazine show where men get real. I'm your host, Tim Steeves, and we have a hot one. So let's meet our panelist of all-star yackers right now. Anne-Marie Scheffler's here today. How you doing, Chef?
I'm good. How are you?
The chef is here, and the dish is sexy. And Kedar also joined us. Nice to see you, man.
Good to be seen, holding it down over here.
Holding it down, that's good to see. And Ryan Belleville is with us. Nice to see you, Ryan.
Nice to see you, Tim.
What's going on with the haircut, dude? Chucky Byrn is also by. Good to see you, Chuck.
Hello.
And the effervescent Dwayne Hill. Woo! Good to see you, Dwayne. And actually, that's how we're going to kick off this episode. We're going to throw it over to that same Dwayne Hill for a little commentary. Go ahead, man.
Women in the military. Should women be in the military? Well, contrary to popular belief, they are. But they serve as a logistical standpoint. You know, they organize the stuff. They get all the paperwork done, because guys, when they're killing, are so bad at managing their time. But more importantly, should women be allowed to kill in combat? Should they be allowed to go to the front lines, shoot a machine gun, and kill people? Well, contrary to what you might think, I say, sure, go for it. But I'm going to warn you, ladies, it's going to get messy. Messy like they didn't show you on Saving Private Ryan. I mean, every year I play paintball with buddies. And always one guy's got a girlfriend who's like, you know, I'm going to play paintball with you guys if you don't mind. And we're like, well, no problem, but it's going to get messy. Please, like I care. You know, at 45 minutes into it, it's like, it's raining. This is so what I wanted. This is not a good energy for me. I'm going to go read Cosmo Girl. So don't forget that things get messy. Should women be in combat? Yeah. In World War II, the Russian snipers, the deadliest were the women. Let's face it, Joan of Arc led an army at 17. Of course, it was the French. But she still led an army and still proved that women can be in combat. In Afghanistan, the women are more feared than the men because they have stones and they like to hear the pop when an arm comes out of its socket. They're crazy. They just go nutty with the killing and the blood mayhem. So women, if you want to throw yourself on that hand grenade of freedom and military rights, go ahead. But be prepared, because your bones are going to come through your back and impale your buddies. Tim?
Thanks, Dwayne. Nice start, Dwayne. Or grab some couch cushion there, big man, and we'll get down to this. Women in the military. Let's start it off with Ryan Belleville. What do you think, Ryan? Should women be on the front line or what?
I definitely think women should be on the front line because, well, I mean, especially you're talking about Afghanistan, right, and huge issues with violating women's rights, especially right now that the Taliban's kind of falling. And I think that's definitely a reason why. I think it's something that if they should be fighting for. It's something that they should fight for as well.
It's in their interest.
Yeah, it's totally in their interest.
Well, one of the things that really upsets me about this whole military thing is the fact that, you know, the U.S. military is like, no gays and no women. And it's kind of like, you think to yourself, if you're willing to fight and die for your country, I don't think, you know, homophobia, yeah, or misogyny has any place. You know, like the Israelis, they have female, you know, combat soldiers, and they're brutal. I mean, they're very violent. They pick people off. Let's face it, guys don't, you know, women will drive a bus with their whole family in it. Like they'll
jump in here, Chuck. What do you think?
Well, you know, the argument against it is the same argument they used for segregation. It's the same argument they use for gays. It's the same argument. It'll upset the men on the front lines, which, you know, I can't really speak to because there isn't a drastic need for cowering idiots wetting their pants on the front line, so I'm not there.
But that's not entirely true. I mean, one of the fallacies about World War II was the fact that 85% of soldiers never fired a shot in combat. 15% of guys really came to the call, but in World War II, 85% of soldiers hid. They were afraid. They were totally terrified. And it's a fallacy. In Vietnam, what happened was when they trained for Vietnam, they trained them day and night to kill, kill, kill. And in Vietnam, it was up to 85% of soldiers using their guns in combat. when they came back from Vietnam, they had post-traumatic stress disorder. I say, if you have an inherent need to kill, if you feel you're a soldier, you should have the right.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're a man or you're a woman, you know, and you're just, you know, you believe in the cause. You can fight for what you believe in. You know, when conscription came in Canada, they were taking guys who were, you know, from Polish and Ukrainian families who had no interest in fighting in the war, you know, and basically, you know, it's just.
Kedar, what about rape? What about rape?
Well, at the risk of sounding sexist, no, I don't believe women should be in the military for reasons just like that. What about rape? I mean, you're out there, you're on the front line, you've been there for months on end, and say you've captured one of these women. Rape is definitely something that your opponent's going to...
But I mean, I think if you're a soldier, you risk that sort of stuff, because if you're a male soldier and you're caught, I think that horrific things happen.
You would beg to be raped by the time they were done torturing your testicles.
Ask Senator John.
Please take my anus. Leave them alone.
Got you hooked up to a car battery at some point, right?
Oh yeah, guys design torture just for boys. And I mean, going back to rape, if you've got time to rape.
Let me throw this stat at you, Dwayne. In Jakarta, virginity has been declared compulsory for female cadets. What the hell is that?
Virginity's
Well, I mean, you know, it's compulsory for a lot of marriages too, like in the Catholic Church, but there's a lot of winking and nodding going on when it comes to virginity.
Yeah, but if you're a virgin and you want to get laid before you die, you're going to fight that extra bit harder.
And you know, we also exactly. And, you know, and also, let's face it. You know, Jakarta, I don't think is a very sexual town. I don't think Jakarta's boiling over with sexuality. It is so squashed. I saw footage from Kabul today, and they were dancing to it was basically just two tins being beaten together. Like, we can dance again. I can't believe this. And they're not really dancing, but they think it's dancing. It's sort of just a movement to a sound, you know.
Oh, silly Afghan.
You wacky whacks.
Well, once again, the Real Men panel has taken a serious topic and just beat the hell out of it. We're going to come back after these massages. We're going to be joined by Hugh Dillon, musician, and talk about high school reunions. Stay with us. Nice job, guys.
Say I've had enough, and I take a mile from another inch. You know it's broken. You gotta fix it.
Yeah, okay, sure.
You know you miss
Nice.
it.
That's from Greatest Fits, new Headstones album, and that's called Blowtorch. Pretty sweet. Hugh Dillon joins us now. How are you, man?
Good.
Thanks for coming in.
Nice to be here.
Sounds good. You know what to expect with the Headstones. It's going to be good fun, isn't it? Mm-hmm. You guys don't dork around. I
Fuck
like
around.
It. Thanks for coming in, man. We're going to get this segment started with a commentary by Kedar. Go ahead, Kay.
Hey, high school reunions. Why would you want to put yourself through that public display, huh? You know exactly what they want next to the first, hi, how are you, pat salutation. You know what they really want to know. What do? Are you still the loser you were 20 years ago? Of course I am. You know, it's kind of like being on a catwalk or a runway in Milan and New York. You know, it's kind of like, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage. Here's the lovely Jane. Jane is wearing a lovely pleatherette sheepskin combination that she picked up the Value Village. Yes, dead people's clothes. Jane is flanked by 10 of her illegitimate children, all affectionately named Cody. And next, here is Larry. Larry the loser. Larry, back in the day, couldn't score even if the other team didn't show up. And Larry still can't score. That's why he's here with his mail-order bride, Tanya. I mean, you know, it's not worth it, folks. Don't go. They're just going to pick on you. Tim?
Thanks, Kedar. Nicely set. The table has been set. We're joined by Hugh Dillon from the Headstones. Thanks for coming in, man. What do you think? Have you hit your high school reunion? Did you do one? You didn't go?
No. I'd never go.
No.
Ever.
But you could really put it in some people's faces, though, man.
I like, what did we say earlier? They always know where I am, but
Nice.
I never have to know where they are or what they do.
Yeah.
They still live in Kingston, working for the penitentiary.
But the thing of it is, I mean, with a job like yours, you know, I mean, most people are probably going to know what you do when you show up there.
Yeah.
And if they don't, if you go, I'm a musician, there's like 40 follow-up questions to that.
Yeah.
When you say you're an accountant, it's like, oh, I'm going to go get some snacks.
Call you when tax time
So
comes around.
you'd have to deal with all of them again.
But that's why you kind of go into the entertainment industry, like you were all saying before, is because I think a lot of people in the entertainment industry had some sort of hard time in school.
For sure.
Of some way, shape, or form. They did not like the people they were with, and they just sort of go, you know what, I'm going to do my own thing. And
Exactly. There's people that peaked in high school, and there's people that didn't peak in high school.
Right.
And none of us peaked in high school, thank God.
Yes.
We were still evolving.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I think I'd be the opposite. If I was like a famous rock star, I'd like rent a chopper just to kick up all the leaves and all the, oh, the parking lot's crazy. Who is that? Oh, that's Dwayne Hill. Oh, get a shot of him. There's a separate VIP section just for me. You know, and I'm like, hey, please, no pictures. Sunglasses, the whole 9 yards, and selling vials of my own seed for $10,000 a pop. You didn't want me in high school. Now you can't even touch it, but you can hold the.
What about a shuffler? Is it just a fashion show? And it's
Oh
just...
yeah, if you go back to your high school, you have to show up looking like not fat if you're a woman, and you have to have a husband. You know what I mean? It's like comparing husbands, comparing.
Did you go?
I haven't gone yet. No.
Good for you.
Well, I have no husband to show, so I guess I can't
So you
go.
can't go?
You can rent one.
Oh, Dwayne.
I'll be him.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, me and Andy
The
Marie.
fake show up.
Anne-Marie?
Well, that's what they do. I mean, you
had
go
sex.
through the whole preparation process. Well, you know, I got to dress this way, look this way. I got to go get a chaperone, all these things. And as men, you feel like I have to be successful. I can't just go in there, you know, just with a little Joe job at Licks or something,
Right.
you know. Nothing
How was
against
the
Licks.
high school experience for you, Hugh?
You know, I was just sitting here thinking that my high school was bizarre because David Usher went there,
Right.
the guys in the Tragically Hip,
Wow.
myself. So, and then I was just thinking, you know, and those are all guys I kind of got along with.
Cool.
And then there are a bunch of dinks, you know,
Right.
and dinkettes. And you know, I was just lucky, you know, and I was lucky that I got a record deal and got to do what I wanted to do and got
For
to
sure.
make movies. So I don't have to go back there.
You're also lucky to be in the most creative high school in all of Canada.
Yes, you are.
That is
Every
why
high
you
school
were
in Canada
actually-
can maybe
What's in the
boast a
water?
guy who like almost made it into hockey.
Yeah.
You know, David Usher, the Hip, and you.
Yeah.
I mean, good thing the roof didn't cave in.
I just
We'd all be
picture Gordy
singing
Johnson
Slim
or Gordy Downey going to class with his books under his arm.
He
And
was cool. He was cool.
Right
Like, they
on.
were all pretty cool.
You're all smoking behind the portable.
I was selling it.
Times were tough. We had to make ends meet.
Yeah.
Well, not tough per se.
Back in the day, when 3
I
fingers
like to
meant
sell
3
it.
fingers, damn it.
That's right.
has anybody on the panel gone to a reunion?
Right on.
I went back 2 years after I graduated for a.
Little miniature deal.
It wasn't really a reunion so much as just a bunch of people going back to play a game of softball. But that was mainly I hadn't really separated myself from it yet because it was just 2 years after. I was still seeing a lot of the people that I went to high school with. I think it's also a matter of if you hang out with the people you went to high school with still, you're probably all going to go to the reunion.
Not so bad.
I went through a
Right.
phase where I watched a lot of high school reunion films, and it seemed to be pretty erotic. So maybe I should go.
Oh, I went back to a friend's wedding, you know, a best friend from high school. She got married, so then we all got together again. And that was, you know, really like a reunion in itself. And again, it was a big problem of, you know, you don't have a husband, you don't, you know, you're not engaged. You know, it's women, we totally
See,
compare.
guys are like, you're not engaged. All right, good for you.
Guys, it's all about the job.
Yeah, yeah.
But like you said, you want to go back, like, you only want to go back if you're feeling kind of successful
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
kind of gloat. But nobody wants to see you if you're successful. Nobody
Yeah,
wants
yeah.
to
Good
see
point.
you be better, have a better
No,
life than
Maybe
they
not,
have.
Ryan. Maybe not the other students, but the people or the educational system. The school would love you to come back.
Yeah.
and be
Yeah,
the-
if you're
right. They're
successful.
probably
I
just,
went to
Especially if he brings his checkbook.
Yeah, my folks shipped me off to a private school in Ottawa for grade 11. And that particular institution wants to hear from me and come back and talk to the students. And,
right.
you know, they still send me. And I hated that experience at the time.
Right,
you know.
right.
It was great educationally, but socially it was, you know, I was taken from Kingston and put in this
You
suit
kind of
and
wish you
tie
could be
thing.
honest about it. You know, you wish you could go there and go, I'm going to do a speech, but I'm going to be pretty honest about exactly how I felt about
Okay,
going
sorry,
there.
Dwayne. We got to get out of
Sorry.
here, buddy. Let's
That's
let's.
me rambling.
No, that was fine, pal. Nice job there. And when we come back, who's going to hang with us? We're going to talk the father-son relationship after this. Stay with us. Okay, that musical sting was not the Headstones, just to make sure there's nobody confused at home.
A little bit of solo work.
Yeah, you're just a little side project there.
Rock and roll's in danger of going
Alone, I'm
stale.
burning incense.
Hugh Dillon joins us from the Headstones. We're talking father-son relationship this segment. How did it go with your dad, Hugh?
You know, funnily enough, I was talking to my folks last week, and I was saying I had a great childhood. You know, adolescence was bad on everybody.
Yeah.
And you know, now I've turned things around. I've got more patience. I'm interested in their lives, and it's
Right.
a lot better. But, you know, from 17 to about early last week, it sucked. You know, like, it was really bad.
Did your dad approve of the rock star thing?
No, you know,
Obviously
not
not.
at first. My folks are pretty, well, they're not conservative at all, but, you know, my mom was a teacher and was big in the libraries, and my dad was an engineer at Elcan for years, and they wanted me to, and I come from Kingston, so they wanted me to, I got into Queens, and I lasted a year.
Right.
And then I left the country. And, you know, they wanted me to pursue something
What they
less-
perceived legitimate?
well, yeah, and less to do with rock and roll and drinking and drugs.
Yeah.
quite
But did you
frankly.
find that, honestly, that actually, in the long run, was kind of beneficial for you? Because I actually had a really supportive mother. I was raised by a single parent. Really supportive. Dwayne, be creative. You know, oh, he started a fire. He's just channeling his energies in a very strange and beautiful way. And it almost made me, I mean, it did make me lazy, you know, because
Yeah.
I was, you know, I was very good at, you know, several creative things, but I was really lazy. Whereas I think a lot of stuff is born of pain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if you say,
I
no
had
rock for you, all right, I'm gonna rock.
Yeah, I had older brothers and sisters, so I was surrounded by, you know, Bob Dylan. My last name's Dylan, so I had a whole weird kind of fantasy life going on. And you know, I loved rock and roll. I was driven by music at a young age, and I was unstoppable because after school, my folks said, "Okay, you got into Queens. We'll help you out with anything you want to do, as long as it's not, you know, in
Right.
rock and roll." Because you got to look at it from their point of view.
Security.
And there was
looking
no,
down the
there
line.
was no, you know, tragically hip blazing the, you know, there was nothing.
Right.
There, and you know, what are you going to do? You're going to get in some band. What's it going to, you know?
It's like Bjork. You
and
know,
you're
like
from Kingston.
Exactly. But Bjork, it's like, you know, I know she's great, but she really can't sing that well, and she's like Iceland's only superstar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's got this incredible confidence. She was compelled to do it,
Yeah.
and it's not like she had this precedent setting, well, I'm going to follow the heels of Reykjavik Al, who just set Iceland on fire. You know, like you really are a pioneer
Yeah.
in that sense.
Well, Hugh makes a good point that there wasn't the hip hadn't existed yet, and some of the bands now that are so established, like what are you chasing the Stampeders back then? I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty confusing.
Well, yeah, and you know, and all you knew of rock and roll, and especially at that time, was decadence.
Right,
You know, and
right.
rock stars dying constantly
Right.
of drug and alcohol abuse.
Let's get around the panel here. Kedar, how was it with your dad, man?
My dad was an electrician. He worked on all the buildings for the YMCA. But today, I don't know a thing about electricity. I mean, my dad, in terms of following in his footsteps, he never really encouraged that. He did say that you need to go out and find what you do best. So I got involved in track and field. And so when he died when I was 12, not to bring this down, my mom used to always say, if your dad could only see you now, you know, doing what you love to do.
That's good.
That's a good point. That's another thing I think, you know, in my life, I feel fortunate that, you know, my folks are still around, very healthy, and they've got to see the movies I've made. They've got to see the success I've had with music. I've got to. I remember the first bit of success with our first record. We played Richardson Stadium in Kingston. It's the Queens football field, and the Hip had us play with them, and they were VIP'd in, and it was like 10,000 people, and it was a big deal.
Cool.
And you know, I had a really bad past, you know, with, you know, just crime.
You're in the right town for it.
Yeah. And you know, and you know, it's sad because you don't even realize you're breaking your parents' heart. You know?
Right.
And so for me, it was a really,
Were they proud of you?
it was a really redeeming thing.
Yeah.
Because
But your parents weren't pushing you into one career so much as they were just kind of discouraging.
yeah.
I don't think anybody on
'cause I got-
panels, folks, were too excited when we broke out with "I'm going to be a comic."
Yeah,
/
well,
actor,
I got
writer,
the
whatever.
passive aggressive. I mean, I got the do whatever you want.
But don't come over here. Yes, yeah.
Do whatever you want. Come on.
Yeah. And I'd have to say that I think there's a lot of pressure on men to be the chip off the old block, to be, you know, heir to the throne.
Yeah.
I have 2 sisters and 1 brother, and I think that my brother got a lot of pressure, you know, as opposed to us girls.
Well, I think that's very true. I think a lot of fathers see in their kids the things that they could have done but didn't manage to do. It's like, how many failed football dads want their kid to be the star quarterbacker, you know?
Yeah.
Or make them wear dresses like
Or-
my dad.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Everybody wants
With you jumping up and down and screaming, he had no choice.
Good job, panel. We got one more segment.
works on a
You
Friday.
want to hang in, man? Sure. Just hang with us. Hugh Dillon's here from the Headstones, talking father-son relationship. We're coming right back. This is Real Men, where men get real. I gotta pick that up right away. That's the new Headstones Greatest Fits. I'm picking that up today, man. That's too good. Well, I can tell from that 15-second clip. So we've been talking father-son relationships, and he was talking about the road. Why don't you tell us a good road story, man? Do you have one up your sleeve this last?
Oh, once you ask me, I just go blank.
Well, okay, tell us about like all the women who come up to you after.
Oh yeah, well, that part's funny. It's and especially certain tours, there aren't a lot of women. It's just a lot of drunken frat guys. Dude, doing that fucking handshakes.
I got a poster of you.
Secret handshakes.
Yeah.
You turned Red Deer on its ear. Red Deer is not going to be the same.
That town, as far as bands concerned, most guys in bands don't want to talk about that because Red Deer is crazy.
Bad things happen in Red Deer.
Well, it's like going to. Did you ever see
Red
that?
Deer.
Yes. And funnily enough, I hate to say I you not, but funnily enough, we were driving into Red Deer one year, and there's two deers dead on the side of the road. They're big deer asses, and you're driving in. It's like, do you remember that movie? Do you remember that movie, The Thing?
Yeah.
With Kurt Russell, and they have the petri dishes, and that's what it's like. Red Deer's like a bizarre outpost.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, my theory on Alberta is don't play any towns that start with Grand, Red, or High.
Yeah, well, we're huge in all three of them.
That's right.
And it's crazy. I used to think, because our agents would book these gigs, and we'd have Calgary, Edmonton, and we'd be there in January and February, and they have every conceivable
David tour.
drug, stripper.
What else are you going to do in Red Deer?
Yeah, gun. It's crazy.
The best club in-
And it's freezing. you know?
Yeah. We're out of time. Thanks so much for coming in, man. That's awesome. The album's called Greatest Fits by the Headstones. Pick it up. The basic theory on gigging on the road, if you see a field of corn on the way to the job, you're in deep, deep trouble. Tune in next time.
Best place in town to play. So enjoy.
A tendril of saliva.